So, I mean, tell us a bit about yourself, Jake. What is it I can help you with?
Right, so I'm late 20s. I drive a lorry for a living, have done for the past 2 years. Just wanting to do a career change and revisit sort of the trade route, which I didn't want to do a couple of years ago, mainly because of the cost. But I'm at a point where I need the challenge, I need the change, and if I don't do it now, I'm never going to. There'll always be an excuse.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was in pest control for 5-6 years, and at the end of my sort of pest control time, I was a field biologist, and that was 2.5 years ago, and that's when I sort of decided, like, you know what, I need to do something a bit drastic. I need to change jobs, and I figured a trade would be the best way long term.
Yeah.
So I did my current job, the lorry one, is what I'm doing as an interim, because the hours are a lot more family friendly, and also I finish earlier. So I was thinking, oh, if I go to night school, the hours will just work with travel and family and all of that sort of stuff.
Oh no, good plan, good plan. I mean, how much do you get paid on the lorries, if you don't mind me asking?
So yeah, so the basic is about 27.5, 28.
Yeah.
But I mean, I work bank holidays, and we can do additional hours and stuff if we want to, but the basics around about the 27.5, 28 mark.
Okay. Yeah, good. Because again, with a trade, you probably won't get much more than that, if I'm honest with you.
No. So I understand that, and whichever line I went down, it's the money helps, but it's more about sort of up here.
Yeah.
So when in pest control, and particularly as a field biologist, you are constantly having to problem solve and use your brain to work things out. Driving a lorry, although the company I work for is very good, the hours are good,
Yeah.
and the money's all right, you're on the road. Yes, you're concentrating on driving, but it's the same repetition. And I'm with a firm that are quite local, so I'm not even going long distance.
Yeah.
And I sort of when I was looking at the apprenticeship route, and I had to do sort of like an English and maths assessment for one of the ones I was looking at.
Yes.
I was a bit shocked at just how poor my basic literacy and numeracy skills have become in the last 2 years. So.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is because there's a lot of people that have seen there's a Daily Mail newspaper article that came out and said that electricians are earning 132 grand a year or something like that. And you know, my wife came home chuckling about it, because her friends were saying to her, well, why are you still working? Your husband's minted. And she was like, well, I earn more than he does, you know, and, you know, laughing at the ridiculousness of it. So, I've had lots of people contact me to say, oh, you know, I'm thinking about changing careers. And when I ask them what they're doing and how much they're getting paid, I'm like, well, you know, self-employed electricians earn about 200, 250 a day, you know, as a sort of rule of thumb. You know, obviously it depends where you are in the country. And they instantly go, oh, I'm getting more than that now. Maybe I won't be an electrician, you know. And you can see, and it's only because they've seen something, an advert somewhere that says that electricians are earning mega money, you know, and we just need to be careful of that, because it'd be nice, but it's not really the reality for a lot of people.
No, for me, as long as the sort of the money is livable, it's the challenge, and the, you know, the needing to think about things and problem solve, because that was one of the elements I enjoyed in the previous job, but I did not enjoy the hours. I never saw my family, which was one of the causes for me to start this journey and move on. So yeah, the money's nice if it can be overall. Eventually, I know at first it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but long term, I just need to be in a role where the brain's being used, and I've got that future sort of safety net of people are always going to need electricians, they're always going to need tradespeople.
Yes. No, that's good. That's good. Okay, so what kind of route are you looking at the moment then? Because obviously the apprenticeship, that won't work for you by the sounds of things.
So yeah, so I've watched a lot of your videos on YouTube, and in particular the life stories playlist. I think there was a guy called Aidan, which sort
Yes.
of his story sort of it's similar as they're going to be to mine.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, I would like to do the 4-year apprenticeship, mainly because you've got the 4 days on the job, which
Yes.
my academically I'm okay, although maybe not now, 10 years, 15 years on.
Yeah.
But I learn by doing. So the 4 years on, 1 day in college would
Yeah.
suit, but I can't afford the pay drop for the 4 years. And I know from your previous videos, from year 2, I think you're on minimum wage, you've said?
Yeah, so it jumps up. But I mean, basically, let me show you something now. All I've gone to is national minimum wage rates from the government website. And it says here that if you are 23 and over, you get £8.91 an hour. Up to 22, £8.36, 16 to 20, £6.56, and obviously under 18, £4.62 an hour. And a first year apprentice is £4.30 an hour.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what wage you're on, but sorry, how old you are. In the first year, it is just £4.30 an hour. But then, well, how old are you again?
I'm 28, almost 29, so I'll be on that.
The 8.72 an hour. Yeah, the higher amount, which is a bit more realistic, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense then. So what you're looking to do then is what's been suggested before. Let me just bring this up as well.
2365 level 2. I'll do my first year,
yes.
And then in an ideal world, I'll be able to find a company that will take me on as an apprentice from year 2 for the next 2 to 3 years, however long it takes.
Yeah. So I've got that route up here. Obviously, this is produced by the TESP. Which is the Electrotechnical Skills Partnership. So again, like you say, level 2, City and Guilds or EAL, and if you can find employment during that time, then you can transfer onto the apprenticeship. But once you've got the level 2 out of the way, so that'd be the first year, you'll then move into the level 3, and then you'll be looking to join at that time when the wages have gone up. Is basically what we're suggesting. Now that. I mean, that is great, and that should be available. But I've been finding out from a lot of people that have tried to do that, but there's a couple of things that you just need to be aware of. Okay, so firstly is that when the colleges transfer you over, let me just stop sharing that for a second. When the colleges transfer you over from the 2365 onto the 5357, they do something called RPL, your qualifications over. And RPL stands for Recognised Prior Learning. Okay. And what that means is that they take those qualifications that you've done, which follow the apprenticeship exactly, so that you can jump over. Some colleges are very wary about taking on people from other colleges. So let's say you did your level 2 at one college and they didn't deliver apprenticeships, for instance. And then you complete the level 2 and you think, right, I'm going to take these qualifications that I've now got over to the apprenticeship at a different college. That different college might be very wary about taking you on because they can't guarantee the level of training that's happened. And the problem that they then have, which is, I'm only just finding this sort of stuff out as we go, because it is a bit of a journey, these videos. The problem that we then have is that, let's say an apprenticeship, you start off at the beginning, they get the full funding. So let's say that's 20 grand. Okay. If you then come in at year 2, they don't get that first year's budget. They literally just get your second year and third year budget. Okay. And that is a bit of a disincentive from what I'm hearing. Okay. So what they may try and do is try and start you back from the beginning again and say, look, we don't know the standard of the training that's happened. We need you to start again, but it'd be easier the second time around. However, that then kind of puts you back in the first year. Now, that shouldn't happen, but I'm hearing from people that obviously, because they don't know how the system works, or they just get told what the training provider wants to tell them. I'm just letting you know so that you can plan for this and know the answers and say, well, actually, do you know what? I know that we can RPL these qualifications over, and you can just start me in the second year. Okay. And what I suggest to you is to give yourself the best chance of that happening. Because again, if they were questioning your training, the best way to circumnavigate that is to take control of your training yourself. Don't just rely on what the college are training you. Go above and beyond and get yourself to a level where you feel really confident in what you've learned, so that you can then prove yourself. Because if I was a training provider and I wanted to know the level of the people coming in, I would set some kind of test and say, do you know what, let's see how you get on. And if you do well in that, do you know what, I feel reassured now, let's go for it. If you didn't do well in it, I'll be like, well, there's the proof, you know, we need to start again. So my advice to you is, there's a couple of things. Is number one, take control of your learning and make sure that you're at the top of your game. Stay at the top of the class. And, you know, if there's anything you don't understand, there's videos you can watch, there's books you can buy, there's all sorts of stuff, you know, you can get, talk to people online, build an online presence. There's a lot of people in the industry that want to help apprentices or people looking to join. The second thing that I would start doing as well straight away, Jake, is try to find that job, because that's the second hurdle that you've got. Lots of people, once they've gone down that diploma, it's called the diploma route. So once they go down that diploma route, they then find it difficult to find jobs. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. Anything's possible. It all depends on the quality of the candidate as well. So if you look the part and you sound the part and you talk the talk, somebody's more likely to take you on, okay? Especially if you've got all the gear as well, because you look like an asset, okay? Rather than someone that's going to be a drain and a hindrance. So make sure you get yourself in a good position. Start trying to find that job straight from the beginning. So as soon as you start on that second year level two, first year level two, start trying to find a job, get in with the right people, build on an online presence, find the right contacts online. You know, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm learning. You know, I've bought these tools, I've done this, and keep that presence going, because I've got an apprentice at the moment that's in the first year, and he's not the sharpest guy in the room. You know, he's really focused, and he comes up with some really good questions, but he's always looking forward. So he's already built his online platform, and he said many times, I don't think my employer's the right employer, but I've got all these other employers online that I talk to, and they give me advice and they give me help, and they've offered to let me work with them weekends. So he goes off and does extra work at the weekends with these other people, and he's taken control of his future. Basically, he's learning all those skills at the same time, you know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. My plan was, once I sort of started the level two and had a bit of an idea of what I was doing, because I'm complete new from scratch in the industry.
Yeah.
Once I'd started the level two and I sort of had a bit of an idea of what I was doing, was to then put myself out there for like the free work experience and stuff.
Yeah.
Just with your sort of social networking comment, is that via LinkedIn, or is there a more specific electrical social media platform?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is the most professional out of the social media platforms, I would say. Twitter, I've never had any work from Twitter. It's all just nitpicking and all that kind of stuff. And people, you know, Twitter's a weird place. You won't probably get much from that. Facebook, if you're in the right Facebook group, so there's the Sparky Ninja Facebook group.
Yeah, I'm in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the apprentice one as well.
Okay,
so,
right.
Sparky Ninja apprentice group. If you go into that one, you're more likely to get apprentice information. And then as you build up your technical ability, they may even let you into the Sparky Ninja Discord group. And they're really particular about who they let into that, because they don't want it to end up like the Facebook groups, you know, where it all just is about tearing people down and, you know, pulling them to pieces. It's about support and nurture and, you know, trying to provide a nice nurturing environment for people. And it's difficult to achieve that when you've got lots of members as well. So they're really specific about who they sort of let in. But I mean, it's a great way of then building that up. Now, so pitfalls of doing what you're doing. In an ideal world, you'll start the level 2, you'll finish the level 2, you'll go straight into an apprenticeship at the end of that with a job, and then you'll go straight into the second year of the apprenticeship, and it will carry on seamlessly. Okay, that's the ideal. That's the perfect scenario. There's say things that can happen. You'll start the level 2 and you won't be able to find a job, at which point you then start the level 3. Okay, and then you work your way through the level 3 and you still keep trying to find a job. If you don't find a job in that time, then at the end of that diploma route, you can still start to try and find a job. Somebody pointed out the other day, Neil Phillips, who I was talking to, who's got a training company in Cambridgeshire, was saying that you can get a job as an electrician's mate, or there's another term as well, it always escapes me, like
Improver.
Electrical prover, that's the one. And
because they're about £15 an hour on Indeed and stuff at the moment. I had a look, yeah.
So again, I mean, that's more than a lot of electricians get paid. So you can see why people do it. So again, that's another route that's open to you. The worst case scenario for you, and it all depends on you as a person, is agency work. Now, I've done agency work and it wasn't for me, but it doesn't mean to say that it won't be for you. Now, the problem is with agency work is that you literally just turn up and get told where to be. It's only short stints. There's probably not many people that want to help you. Okay, they just want to do their job and get on. So you have to be aware of that. But again, if you find the right person in that environment to buddy up with, two things might happen. They might say, do you know what, why don't you come work for us? Happy days. Or two, they'll at least impart some knowledge with you and help you out a bit. But again, you're more likely to get that if you've got the right personality, you've got the right ethos, the right mentality. You know, you turn up on time, you've got all the equipment, nothing's a problem, you know, and you really push yourself to do it. One of the worst things that can happen on site is that, and it happens a lot, apprentices say all the right stuff and then how hard working they are and how hard they're trying, and then they're always on their phone. Yeah. Or as soon as the bell goes at the end of the day, that's it. They're not thinking about electrics anymore. They just want to go off and get lashed or whatever. And they're not committed. They think they're committed, but there's a whole few levels above their level of commitment that really means they're committed. And you just want to make sure you're there.
Well, I'd like to think being a mature learner, or whatever you call me. I've got family, I've got financial commitments. This is quite a big, nerve-wracking, anxious step. So I'd like to think I'm about to plough a load of money into retraining. Yeah. If people don't see me on my phone rather than being engaged, asking questions, trying to better myself, then there's something going wrong. So I'd like to think that's going to be a positive for people looking at me, going, oh, you know what? This guy's got a bit more life experience. He's got stuff going on at home that he needs to work on. He's not just going to turn up, doss off and bugger off sort of thing, you know?
Be hungover from the weekend or whatever and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, that's good. And that's ideal. And you know what? This is the best thing about career changes. They've done all the kid stuff. They've done all the teenage stuff. They've done all the young adults still finding their way stuff. And now they're at a point where actually, do you know what? This is what I want to do. And they're more focused, they're more committed, which is why I think there needs to be more support for people such as yourself who've had that defining moment and realised they want to change their stars, you know? So we need to definitely work something out for that. So with regards to the college, have you found a college? You don't have to tell me the name.
So I've applied at Brighton Met because that's sort of the closest identifiable one to me. I mean, there are a few others, like there's one in Shoreham, but in terms of what they were wanting money wise, it was a lot more, and I didn't quite understand how the course worked. Whereas Brighton Met, it's City and Guilds, it's level 2, then level 3 diplomas. Yeah. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's a lot more clearer and simpler. So from my not knowing and my understanding point of view, the Brighton Met is the way to go for the time being.
Yeah. And is that an evening course?
Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday evenings it would be. I've applied. I've just got to wait for the interview and to be offered the place. I think I will get it because I actually got offered a place last year, but we had a few financial stuff going on and everything, so I had to pull out. So I'm hoping they'll just, you know, it will. I'm hoping I'll be starting in September. I am actually at the moment though. There's an apprenticeship 4 years in Shoreham starting, which is an EAL course.
Okay.
So I don't really understand a lot about EAL, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Just if you were able to point me in the right direction. Is it better, the same as City and Guilds? Or
well, technically, it's supposed to be exactly the same. The course structure, the course criteria, the end product is all supposed to be exactly the same. The only difference is that most people recognise City and Guilds.
Right.
They don't recognise EAL. That is the only thing that might be a problem. And it's in the same way that a lot of people recognise the NIC, EIC, and a lot of people don't recognise NAPIT. And I've had people phone me up and say, are you NIC registered? No, but I'm with NAPIT. And they're like, no, we don't want that then. And off they go. So, but that's their choice. You know, that's their choice. They recognise the brand. So my only thing is that City and Guilds have the brand, EAL, not so much. But it's supposed to be exactly the same. I think they do things slightly differently, but effectively, the end product is exactly the same. And it enables you to get into the AM2. And once you've done that, that's when you become the qualified electrician.
Right. Okay.
So until you've done the AM2, in the eyes of the industry, you're not an electrician. I'm not an electrician either because I haven't done the AM2. But you're not an electrician until you've done the AM2. Okay.
Yeah, but you can't do that now until you've done the MVQ portfolio.
That's right. You've got to do the MVQ portfolio, then you can get into the AM2. Yeah.
And you have the 18th edition wiring regs. Is that also part of it, or is that an additional you can do alongside?
That's an additional. You do the 18th edition-ish, the apprentice version, but it's not the same as the actual 18th edition course. So but I think to go in for the AM2, you don't need, if you've gone down the apprenticeship route, you don't need the 18th edition. I'm not sure what it is for the self-funded route. I mean, I'm looking at this thing here now. It doesn't really say much about it, but again, it's only an online exam. There's not much in it, you know. People that aren't even in the industry pass it, Jake. You know,
right, it's one of those.
Anyone can do it, and they do it.
Because before I sort of started watching your videos, and I didn't realise you could join as a second-year apprentice after doing the level 2.
Yeah.
The original plan was level 2, level 3, 1 to 2 years on doing the diploma, and then the wiring regs, all of that sort of in one go.
Yeah.
So with the wiring regs, if I did get on an apprenticeship route, would it be required in the industry or not?
I think when you do the apprenticeship route, from what I've seen with our apprentices, I don't think it's not part of the course requirement. You do the level 2, the level 3, and the level 3's got its version of the 18th edition in it.
Right.
And then they do their MVQ, and then they go into the AM2, and then they get their gold card.
Right. Okay.
What they might need to do is if they join a competent persons scheme, then they might need to have the 18th edition wiring regulations.
Right. Okay. So it's still worth planning in.
Oh, I would
do that.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely, for sure. Because then you've got it, and then I mean, every time they bring out a new edition, you'll have to do another update course, which is a good thing as well. So it's always worth having it. I mean, to any employer, it looks good.
Okay.
And then also as well, you know, if you've said to the employer, I've got the 18th edition, I've got my level 2, I've got my level 3, I just need to build my portfolio MVQ now so that I can do my AM2. You're most of the way there.
Right.
You know?
So you've already paid half the battle, so to speak. So the employer's not having to.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the more cards that you've got stacked in your favour, the better your chances of finding a job. got to be, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's true. And just a point that you made earlier on about being an asset and having your own gear. I mean, is it worth just having a starter Sparky kit just with the basic tools, or yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, think about it this way, Jake. Taking on anyone to start off with is a big financial commitment for any employer. I don't care what anyone says, it really is. And for the first 3 months, unless you've had any training previous to that, you'll probably be completely useless. No offense, Jake. You know, everyone is. You know, for those first 3 months, it's really keeping the van tidy, keeping the site tidy, doing all the dog work, you know, and then learning as you go. And after about 3 months, you start to get a bit useful, you know. Then, to be even more useful, if you've got your own tools and you've got some transport, so even just a rubbish van, okay, that will help you become useful. They can say, do you know what, Jake, there's some sockets that need second fixing on that job. Can you just go there and do it? And you're an asset. Not, oh, do you know what, I've got to drop this lad off. Oh, he's got no tools. Oh, do you know what, this is starting to become a bit more of a hassle than I thought it was going to be, you know?
No,
I mean, one of the biggest mistakes that I made is after about 3 months, my employer said to me, we need you to get a vehicle so that you can get yourself to work. And being 20, I went out and bought a convertible. I spent about £7,500 on a convertible Escort Cabriolet. And I turned up on the Monday, and it had all the alloys, and I spent the whole weekend putting the sound system in the boot, so there was nowhere for my tools. And I turned up, and with the roof down and the ladder jammed in behind the front seat, with sunglasses on, top off, you know, sounds blaring, and my boss came out and he just went, what are you doing? I thought, what do you mean? It's a beautiful day, you know, because my head just wasn't there. And about a month after that, he sacked me. Because because, you know, I wasn't as committed as I thought I was. I mean, I was like, what do you mean I'm not committed? I turn up on time. I'm here, aren't I? You know, I do a day's work. But actually, there's so much more involved than that. This is a career now. This isn't just a job. You need to understand what you're doing. If you don't, do some CPD, learn about it, become an asset. Because you need to earn your employer money. If you're not earning your employer money, you're no good. It's just a waste of time. So my advice is get a van, cheap run around, doesn't, you know, half sensible. You don't want it looking like it's rolled down a hill. Because again, you know, people's perception, you know, if you turn up in a car and you don't look very professional. If you turn up in a van, you look a bit more professional. If it's sign written, at least looks even more professional, especially if you're wearing all the gear, you know, and you've got the, you know, branded stuff on. You've got the nice tools rather than turning up with just a bucket with some tools in, you know. But you laugh, but this is what some people are like. If you look the part, you feel the part, you're more likely to attract the right people.
Right, okay.
Just out of curiosity, one thing I keep wanting to ask you as well is how much is that course, Jake, that you're going on?
Okay, so this is all Brighton Met, which is what I've earmarked as my journey for the next 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
So I've got level 2, which is £1,596.
Yeah.
I've got the level 3, which is £2,000.
Yeah.
You've then got the MVQ portfolio, which includes the AM2 test.
Yeah.
And that's £2,225.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 18th edition wiring regs, which is a 3-week, 1 evening or whatever course, which is £350.
Perfect. And what does that add up to?
So that's £6,171.
That's not bad for the whole thing, is it?
Now, one thing I need to, well, I didn't think that was bad, bearing in mind that I was originally looking at some of these domestic installer courses.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were more expensive than that. And then I started seeing that you weren't qualified and there was additional, anyway, we won't get onto that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so we've got 6,000. Now, what I need to double check is that the inspection and testing.
Yes.
Is that a separate course I would need to do, or
that's an additional course. So I know the City and Guilds one's called the 2391 inspection and testing course. that is another course. Okay, so you do your level 2, you do your level 3, get your AM2 done, I would suggest, okay, and your portfolio. And then at that point, you'll probably stand a better chance of getting through that 2391. Now, again, anyone can take that 2391 course. You don't have to be an electrician. So we get all sorts of people thinking that they can do it. It might get expensive if you want to set yourself up to stand the best chance. So if you understand electrical installation, then you stand a better chance of getting through that exam. Now, again, I've got to say, a lot of people are being led through that exam, from what I hear. So it's not as hard as it used to be. But again, if you're going to stand the best chance of doing it, I would get everything out of the way first, the AM2, then practice, hone your skills at work as well, and then go on and do it.
Because so until you've done that inspect and test course, you cannot sign off your own work. Is that
no? No, it doesn't work like that. Okay. So at the moment, basically, you only need a level 2 initial verification certificate to be able to sign off your own work and be enrolled with a scheme. However, in September, they're now changing that. At the moment, it says that you need a AM2 and a portfolio, an MVQ and an AM2 portfolio. However, I know that NAPIT have already brought out a training course to circumnavigate that. And it probably won't be long before the NIC, EIC do the same. Now, my suggestion is that you're better off staying away from those training routes, purely because, same as when you looked at the domestic installer route, there's always more to do. You do it and you pay your money, and then you find out later, well, hang on a minute, I'm still not qualified. Well, okay, I'll do a bit more. And then you do that. And then you just end up throwing money at this. If you do it right the first time round, then you won't be backtracking. You won't be doing things twice. It'll be cheaper in the long run, and no one will question it as well, because you've done the right route. You've got all the right qualifications, because this is the other thing as well. There's so many different routes out there that employers don't know the qualification numbers. So all they really look out for is the main ones, the ones they know.
Right. Okay. So it's a safe bet in a way, if it suits my circumstances, to stick with the city and guilds route for the time being and get the level 2 underway, and then start seeking employment. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, absolutely. You stand the best chance of coming out of it at the best. I mean, obviously as well, it takes you as well. You need to put yourself into that, put in effort. Okay. Trainers and lecturers aren't miracle workers. You've got to really push yourself. But again, you sound like you're doing all the right stuff. You've worked it all out. I'm getting some good vibes off you, Jake, if I'm honest with you. You sound focused. So I have no doubt that you continue like this, you'll be absolutely fine.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I appreciate you spending the time to chat to me. I had a sort of an idea in my head, but I don't have any, well, like you say, I don't have the connections or networking in place yet to sort of throw things around and sort of get an idea. So chatting to you today and watching your videos has been really helpful, especially as someone just brand new to the industry. So
no, fine. Yeah. One last thing I will say before I go, Jake, is I don't know if you've seen my video about the fact that I'm not qualified.
I did. That was actually how I got into your page. That was the first one that came up. So yeah. So
that I went to Brighton Met.
I didn't, but yes, do now.
Okay. Well, I went to Brighton Met and they messed up. That's why I'm not qualified. So my only suggestion is to you is to just make sure that they're doing their part. They're doing what they should be doing.
Okay. And because from what you said in your video, each term you were getting a certificate after each module.
Yeah, I was getting all these certificates through, and I was thinking, oh, that's great. Another one to add to the pile, another one to add to the pile. And of course, you don't know what you're getting. You're relying on them to tell you what it all means. But what I'll do is I'll send you a link to the course that you're on, and you can make sure that everything's lining up properly. Okay.
Thank you.
And if you ever have any questions, Jake, you can always phone City and Guilds and ask them, and they will tell you what you do and don't have. So just don't end up like me, is what I'm saying. 15, 20 years down the line, you find out you haven't got what you've paid for.
So you were at Brighton Met around your early 20s?
Yeah, that's it. So 2000 to 2004. 2001,
Okay.
2004.
I'm hoping they will have changed and wisened up in the past 10, 15 years then, but
you would like to think so. I mean, I took on an apprentice about 3 years ago now, before I started going into teaching, and he was enrolled at Brighton Met, and I said, you know, you need to check the course you're on, because obviously from my experience, I was just like, make sure you're on the right course. And we were phoning them and all this kind of stuff. And it turned out they hadn't even enrolled him on the right course. And then we took him out of that and we took him to the training provider that I'm at now. Because we heard a few stories, but I'm sure it'd be fine for you. Just make sure. That's all I'm saying. Just check. And if you have any questions, Jake, you just ask me, all right?
Lovely, Adrian. Thank you very much for your time, and
no problem.
Enjoy the sunshine.
And I wish you all the best, Jake. Good luck.
Thank you, Adrian. Take care, mate.
Take care.
You.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.